Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hi, I'm Rose Davidson from Talking with the Experts. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Global Glamping Charities for their valued support. Global Glamping Charities, solving homelessness in all its forms. Reach out to them at globalglamping.org. Do you love your podcast and dislike the editing and uploading to the various platforms? Would you like to spend this time with your family and friends or work on your business? Podcast editing doesn't have to be a chore. Talking with the Experts partners with podcasters who need help with audio and content editing. If you'd like to know more, contact me, Rose Davidson, using the link showing now or send me a private message.
Talking with the Experts.
Is creativity a trait or a state? In episode 443, Trish Goodfield explains that using the H5 approach encourages the use of creativity for positive change.
And we do these activities without me actually talking beforehand. So traditional training is you talk, you do an activity, and then you debrief it. I do the activity, let them talk, and then if there's any gaps, I might tidy up it. Because I guess the tagline for my business is unlock your expertise creatively. And I believe people know, you just need to help them know they know. So we do that through a whole range of activities, and it's fun, and people actually do feel when they go back to the workplace and they're in a meeting and they've come up with an idea and they've put it out there, then somebody else actually adds to it. They can actually go, oh, well, gee, they're not mansplaining. They're not stealing my idea. We're actually building on this together as a team.
Talking with the Experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. Today my guest is Trish Goodfield, and we're going to be discussing creative doing using the H5Power approach. Now, I've not heard of that before, so I am really looking forward to Trish's enlightenment on this. Now, Trish is accredited coach with over 20 years experience helping individuals and organizations unlock their expertise by bringing creativity, clarity, and humor to complex and challenging obstacles. She's worked with clients from entry-level positions to CEOs across a range of industry sectors. Trish believes that we all have the skills, knowledge, and creativity to achieve everything we desire. Sometimes, though, we need a bit of guidance to help us filter out the noise of expectations. And, you know, it's the BS rules, rules, limiting beliefs, bad experiences, and outdated behaviours. Trish, thank you for being here today and for joining me and for sharing your wisdom on the 5H process.
Thanks for having me.
Good. I'm glad you're here. It's not a process or a power. 5H power is nothing I've heard of before. So I'm hoping that you will, well, I know you're going to enlighten us on everything that you have about it. Now, tell me, how did you come up with the power approach?
Well, to be honest with you, it was in collaboration with clients. So traditional coaching, uses a coaching wheel with usually around 7 life domains. And quite honestly, it's a deficit model. And I worked significantly over the years in the disability sector, which is very much about a strengths-based model. So it always sort of seemed a little, there was a misalignment there. But clients were finding that it was often a case of, here's this gap, it's got a big deficit, we'll concentrate on that, but the rest of their life then became imbalanced. Well, so the 5 H's were actually around, I guess, let's look at, and it's head, heart, hand, health, and harmony. I do tend to, though, when I try and say it, to put head down a little bit further, because again, we tend to start with the head, and I don't when I work with people. And it really is about actually infusing everything we do, not necessarily into those, but recognizing where each of those falls in what we're already doing in our lives. And often people go, oh, I'm not really out of balance that much. I've had people where we've done 1 or 2 sessions and they've kind of gone, great, okay, now if I sit there and think over a week, I've done a bit of all of this, I feel okay. So it really did sort of help people realize and move from, this must be something wrong with me, to, I just need that little bit of help. So, and move people away from overthinking. Because I found a lot of my clients would come to me and they'd read their self-help books and they were using all the lingo, and intellectually they understood it, but there's a big gap between actually reading it, being able to repeat it back, and actually then being able to do it. So that's the hand, and often it's the heart, health, and harmony that is the gap.
Yeah, quite often I agree with that. I've done the Wheel of Life. I actually had a coach who lives by this wheel, and some of the things, I felt like I was at a 2, and then you look at it, and then you've got to reach by the end of the course up to a 10, and I thought, I'm just never going to make it up to there, and it's really disheartening when you see that. And I think it doesn't make for a good feeling about yourself, doesn't develop self-love, doesn't self-worth just went out the window. Yeah. When you see all the the deficits in it, rather than looking at positive things.
Well, exactly right. And I guess for me, I don't start with goals. People will come to you and they'll often start that conversation with, I want to do, or I want to be. And I encourage them to park it. We actually start with, what emotions do you want to experience? Because for me, that's a more immediate metric each and every day than often our goals, which, may be something that's a long-term attainment, or it might be a financial thing that you have to wait to the end of the quarter for, where this is actually something that people can identify and go, okay, am I feeling that today? Then what about these H's do I need to adjust on the spot? But again, the emotion conversation is not an easy conversation, because, people say, I want to be happy, and you have to drill down with them around, what does that look like? What does that mean for you? How might that show up? And it's only after we do that we start to talk about values. And again, actually around values being doing words and feeling words, they're not nouns. So again,
yes.
How do they align? And then we might start talking about goals. But again, I do that quite differently, because I think if you look up the definition of goals, it says it's something to aim for. That I have no problem with. I find the SMART goal analogy is limiting, and it, again, doesn't help with...
For me, it's a crock.
Well, okay, well, all right. Good. Well, if we're going to be that authentic, I agree with you. I think that it can be limiting. It doesn't... So if you're being specific and you say, well, I want to own a house by the time I'm 23, and it's got to be a 4-bedroom house with 2 bathrooms in this suburb. And if you don't achieve that until your 24th birthday, have you failed in your goal? If you buy a house that's only 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom before your 23rd birthday, have you failed? No, well, I don't think so, but people
According to SMART goals, you have, yeah.
Exactly right. So I use the language of a commitment, because a commitment actually has an emotional context to it. And that's, again, that heart. And can you start to see it starting to align with that? And that's with individuals, but those same things can actually work with businesses and organizations and teams as well. So
how can people get, maybe you might explain what a creative state is.
Okay. So there's been a lot of research on that, and they talk about that in terms of flow. So, we've all been had experiences, whether it's doing something creative or just something we like and we're in the zone with it. You might find it when you're preparing for these interviews and you're doing research and you're plugging it in, that time just flows. But to me, it's more than just that. It's actually a way of being, so that you're not actually thinking about what you're doing and how you're doing it. Or probably better sense, you're not second guessing yourself with it. And you're not sitting there going, oh, I hope my boss likes this, or I wonder whether the rest of the team think I'm weird, or whatever it might be. You're actually just going with that. And there's a lot of books written and a lot of research around creative thinking. And again, the work I do is I get people doing in my one-on-one sessions and with businesses and teams and that right off the get-go. Because again, I think there's that gap between what we hear in workshops. Organisation spends a lot of money getting consultants in and sending people off for training, and they get there and they listen all day. They may do 1 or 2 role plays, which aren't always well debriefed, well managed, well observed. And then they go back to the workplace and they can't apply it because they haven't had the physical experience of the change. So I get people doing before we start talking.
Yeah, I think role plays are a waste of time because they're not real life situations. I think
they're not. They're not. So, we might be doing some stuff if, somebody's identified that, that they want to introduce a new change, or there's a new process coming in place. That may not necessarily be up for discussion, okay? But how that is and what the situations that change might actually elicit might be. So, some of the things that happen when you bring new processes in place is that people feel uncertain because they don't know what it's going to mean for them. They don't feel like they can speak up because of experiences that have happened. People think that ideas come out fully formed, and they don't. So I will do activities with people where they might be painting, they might be drawing, they might be modeling, they may be doing some improv, they might be doing some journal prompts. It could be, I have a drop-down menu of activities, and there's always other, because I might make up something along the way. Been quite renowned for trawling office corridors looking for bits and pieces at lunchtime in people's drawers and all the rest of it to another activity. I get to have some weird conversations, but and we do these activities without me actually talking beforehand. So traditional training is you talk, you do an activity, and then you debrief it. I do the activity, let them talk, and then if there's any gaps, I might tidy up it. Because I guess the tagline for my business is unlock your expertise creatively. And I believe people know, you just need to help them know they know. So we do that through a whole range of activities, and it's fun, and people actually do feel when they go back to the workplace and they're in a meeting and they've come up with an idea and they've put it out there, then somebody else actually adds to it. They can actually go, oh, well, gee, they're not mansplaining. They're not stealing my idea. We're actually building on this together as a team because we did this. We had that experience when we did that painting, or we had that experience when we made that model. You know, yeah.
It's good when you sometimes do before you create, or I mean create before you do, because I don't know, I like to be creative, and I would rather be creative than sit down and do something really boring and mundane.
Oh, well, exactly right. And I guess it's a fun way of shifting people out of this is the way we've always done it. And that's one of those rules that you were talking about in that is like, well, yeah, it may be the way you've always done it, but the world's moved on. There may be different rules now. There may be different legislation that you're working under. There may be different auditing standards or whatever it may be that you've forgotten about, and you're just continuing along because that's the way you've always done it. And it's no longer going to suit the change that's coming in. It's no longer going to suit you for how you feel aligned to your values. And it's just giving people an opportunity in a safe place to actually try that out, either individually or in their teams.
Yeah, I think the H5 approach is a good approach, and I think we could, adopt that in most workplaces, and I think it would make for a happier environment.
Well, yeah, and I guess for a lot of people, they think that creativity is something that other people do. And they also think that there's no rules around creativity, or there's no constraints. But, a canvas is a constraint. So, it has boundaries, and that's how big it is, and that's what you've got. But if I gave you a canvas and I gave 5 other people a canvas, even if I gave you all the same coloured paint, what you're going to do with that is going to be different. So when you start to give people that experience in that moment, I'm not just talking to them about it, I'm not showing them PowerPoint slides, they're actually doing it and experiencing those sorts of things. We need to get people to stop being afraid of creativity. It's not frivolous. It's not something we do when we've got 5 minutes. We do it in all of our jobs. We do it in every aspect of our lives.
Yes, we do. I mean, when you're cooking something, you're creating a meal, and you're creating an experience for the person who's going to eat it.
Oh, exactly right. And people who are working in, you might be a numbers person, you might be an accountant or a whatever. Now, when you start talking creativity to them, you can actually see them shut down physically because they're like, oh, well, there's only the numbers add up to 2 and 2 is 4. That's all there is to it. But when you start talking to them about how do they actually deliver that information to people who can't read a spreadsheet, or who want to be able to do something within their team, how can you actually give them that information that's not fear-based, so that they can actually understand that they can then actually work with and maybe come up with another plan within that constraint. So every time you think about how you're going to express an idea, every time you think about what I'm going to say next, you're actually being creative.
Yes, you are. But, but people don't think of it that way. They just think it's normal behavior, but you're actually creating something. A concept is a creation of an idea, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's that unlock your expertise. People know it. You just need to help them actually be able to then take what they know and apply it and be conscious of it.
Yes. I think it's the consciousness that people aren't obviously not aware of, and don't know what to do with it. Have got it, don't know how to use it, don't know what to do with it.
Exactly right. Yeah, very much so.
Trish, so tell me that the health, hand, heart, head, and harmony is the 5H approach.
Yep.
So can you just go through the steps of each one? So the health, the hand, the heart, the head, and the harmony, just very quickly.
Yep. All right. So the first thing I want to say is it's not a linear thing. You don't start with one and it drops down no matter which order, which is the reason why I sort of try to get into the habit of not having head first. They're all interconnected. Okay. So the head is actually, I'm just going to start with that, is, it is the mind and the intelligence and thought and logic, it solves problems. But it's actually when you start to go, what will I do? Okay, so that's where that is. The heart is, very much for me around my energy and my intuition. It's about how you feel. It might be, like your purpose. Why are you here? What is it you want to contribute? That sort of thing. Hand is actually where the change actually happens. So this is where you start to do. And it's that specific measurable change. Now, I said I don't tend to like that in terms of goal setting, but in businesses and all the rest of it, we have KPIs. You can't work away from that. So what is it that you want to see as a result of whatever it is that you're doing? Health. Okay, so we think we know about health, and it's it is self-care, and I think that's sometimes we forget about that, and it's taken on a little bit of a negativity to me, in that people seem to have inserted that into selfishness. But it is actually about going, is this right for me right now? It's your physical health, it's your mental health. For me, it's very much about being energetically balanced. It's not necessarily having physical energy. It's about me feeling energetically balanced. So it's not so much that I respond to negative energy, but some environments and experiences affect me negatively, and just leave me completely drained. And then I need to actually go, oh, hang on a second. I need to take a moment. I need to do something with that. So being really aware of that. And again, helping people understand how they can slot that in to what they're doing. So you might be working in a job that requires a lot of head thought, and mind and logic and all the rest of it. But how can you take care of your health? And that's not like necessarily waiting to the end of the day to go to gym. One of my favorite things that I always did was not to have back-to-back meetings, which is often difficult. But what I would do is I would book a meeting for 45 minutes. So the meeting invite would go out for 45 minutes, but I would allocate in my calendar an hour. So that 15 minutes allowed me to go to the bathroom, grab a cup of coffee. I might have been able to just quickly actually have a conversation with somebody in the hallway where I was actually listening and not continuing to walk. So that transition time was something that I could put into my day that took care of my health while I was actually, for all intents and purposes. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Yes.
work with people around that, and I don't sort of say, this is what you should do. It's like, well, talk to me about your day. Talk to me about what you need. So it's very, very individual. And even within teams, okay, we have lots of people who have different ways of working. How can we work together on that, where everybody is, I guess, supporting each other, and even just getting them to talk about, don't meet me at the car in the morning before I get out of the car with a problem. That might be and I've worked in workplaces where somebody's met me at the car.
Yes.
And they're chicken little and all the rest of it. And it's like, I think this can wait till I actually get in and put my bag down.
My husband's the same every morning. There's always a problem. Like I've just opened my eyes and haven't even poured my coffee yet, and he's already in something I've got to do, or some problem he's had during the night. And give me half an hour, just let me wake up first.
Yeah, absolutely. And harmony, I guess for me, when we actually look at the first four, and if we get them right, and we've actually got some balance across a day is often too much for people to grasp straight away. And I struggle to do it all every day, I sort of sit there and think, if at the end of the week you can look at it and go, yeah, I've done this, then you're already experiencing some harmony. But that's actually where you start to go, okay, well, have I been aligned with all of those things that I said I wanted to be? Have I been aligned with the emotions I wanted to experience? Am I aligned with my values? Are they actually showing up? And I get to my weekly review and sometimes go, yeah, that authenticity one didn't really quite make the grade this week, or whatever it might be. But again, that's part of it. It's not about perfection at all. It's not about that. And, because we're human, it's actually just about, that little check-in. It's not about that deficit.
Yes, I agree. And I reckon it's a really great approach how we could, live authentically during, with ourselves and with others, and do more being rather than more doing, I think.
And interesting, authentic is often one of those emotions. I mean, if I spoke to 20 people, 20 clients in a month, new clients in a month, I can guarantee that 75% of them would say that's something that they want to experience. But again, it's actually about drilling down about what that means to people. So for me personally, it's not about always speaking my mind, where people think, being authentic gives me the right to actually stand up.
Absolutely not. No.
No, but a lot of people will actually do that. Well, I'm being authentic. I've been a member of teams where somebody thinks it's okay to actually be really abrupt and rude to people because that's what I think. So I'm being authentic. Where for me, it's about being consistent with how I actually. So if I'm talking to you, I'm being consistent with the way that I talk to my clients or the dog or whatever that might be.
Absolutely. Yeah. To me, that means the same. Doesn't mean being bullish or mean to people. To me, that's not authentic.
Just being honest.
There's different. It's different. Trish, where could people find you if they would like to work with you or learn more about the 5H approach?
Okay, so they can go to my website. So it's 66solutions.com.au, and that's SIXTISIX. And that's probably the best place that or people can email me. And I guess you'll put that in the show notes.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm always happy to have a conversation with people around that. I guess, people can feel, oh, I'd like to learn more about it, and then go, oh, yeah, maybe not right now. That's perfectly okay. One of the things around particularly individual coaching is there does need to be an absolute connection. And even if that approach aligns with them, they might sit there and go, oh, yeah, maybe not right now. Maybe they need a little bit of time. That's fine. I'm happy to have a chat with anybody who would like to learn a bit more.
Absolutely. Trish, it's been a pleasure. If you were to offer someone some advice about anything that we've discussed or about anything else, in fact, doesn't really matter, what would you offer?
First of all, I don't do advice.
Okay.
As a coach, I guess. Yeah, no, but I think that's people often think that the coach has all the answers. Okay. And my words of wisdom would be the coach has the questions, and a good coach has amazing questions that will get you thinking and get you clarifying. So if the coach is actually doing all the talking, I would suggest that maybe you might like to think about, asking some questions of your own. And I always say, if I'm the smartest person in the room, we're in trouble.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I don't know about your life. I don't know about that stuff. I need you to tell me, and I'll just keep asking questions and keep helping you clarify where you want to go, and what you want to achieve. So that's probably my words of wisdom.
Wonderful. Thank you, Trish, for sharing that. Thank you for joining me today. It's been a pleasure learning about your 5H system and program, approach, power. And I look forward to talking with you soon.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much, Rose.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.